It's not a loud moment. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It's quiet, almost invisible. But something inside you shifts. You say no for the first time, and mean it. You stop justifying your feelings. You stop pretending to be okay when your soul is screaming for truth. Carl Jung believed that the journey toward wholeness begins with a rupture, a break from the masks, from the roles, from the life you built, while trying to be what others expected. Choosing yourself is that rupture. It's not selfish. It's not rebellion. It's the return to your center after a lifetime of orbiting everyone else. You've spent years saying yes when you meant no, smiling when you felt empty, swallowing your needs for the comfort of others. And it worked. You were liked. You were praised. But deep down, something was always missing. Yourself. This video is for the moment when you say no more. No more abandoning yourself to be chosen. No more shrinking to fit. No more waiting for someone to give you permission to exist. Today, we walk through 7 keys, not just events, but inner shifts that begin to unfold the moment you finally choose yourself, not from ego, not from fear, but from a place so deep, only the self recognizes its name. You won't lose your light, you'll find it. Because choosing yourself isn't where you stop loving others, it's where you finally start loving you. Key 1. You stop asking for permission to be who you are. For so long you waited for approval, waited for the right moment, waited for someone to say, yes, it's okay to be this version of you. You checked how others reacted before you spoke. You edited your truth so it wouldn't feel too much. You softened your edges to stay accepted, even when it hurt. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to survive in society. It's not fake, it's functional. But when the mask becomes your identity, you forget who you really are underneath it. Choosing yourself means taking the mask off. It means showing up with your voice unfiltered, your presence unedited, yourself unapproved by anyone but you. And it's terrifying, because when you stop asking for permission, some people stop clapping, some grow quiet, some look at you differently. But that discomfort is sacred. It means you're no longer dependent on the validation that once kept you small. You begin to speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. You now begin to take up space, even if it feels unfamiliar. You begin to move through the world with your soul exposed. And that is courage. You realize freedom isn't loud, it's quiet, it's peaceful. It's a knowing that who you are is finally enough, and from that place you don't need permission. You are permission. Key 2, the wrong people start to fall away. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no dramatic ending, just distance. Texts go unanswered. Conversations feel strained. People who once praised you now seem unsettled by your presence. At first it hurts. You question what you did wrong. You replay the last interaction, looking for the moment it shifted. But slowly, you begin to understand you didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped pretending. Carl Jung taught that when the self begins to emerge, it dissolves the connections built on illusion. Relationships held together by your willingness to stay, small, agreeable, invisible. Now that you've chosen yourself, you no longer accommodate what drains you. You no longer smile through disrespect. You no longer say yes just to keep the peace. And those who needed you to be convenient can't recognize you anymore. They say you've changed, that you're distant. But what they really mean is, you're not who I could control anymore. And that's okay, because the people leaving aren't rejecting you. They're rejecting the version of themselves that your truth now reflects. Let them go. Their absence isn't your loss, it's your realignment. And as they fade, you begin to create space for something truer, deeper, quieter, something that doesn't require you to shrink to be loved. Key 3. You learn to say no. Without guilt. It used to feel impossible, that tiny, powerful word, just 2 letters, but heavy like stone in your throat. You worried they'd be upset, that they'd leave, that they'd think you were selfish, ungrateful, cold, so you said yes. Even when your body said no, even when your soul whispered, not this again. Carl Jung believed that everything we repress returns through the shadow, and one of the first things we bury is our right to set boundaries. Choosing yourself means retrieving that right. It means reclaiming your voice from the silence of obligation. You begin to say no, not from anger but from clarity. You stop over-explaining, stop cushioning your limits with apologies. You no longer make yourself small to keep others comfortable. And for the first time, you feel what peace actually is. It's not being liked by everyone. It's being in alignment with yourself. Saying no becomes sacred, not because you enjoy conflict, but because you honor truth. You start trusting that the people who truly see you won't need you to abandon yourself to stay connected. You stop carrying guilt like a badge, because now, you know, a boundary isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. And the more you choose you, the more natural it becomes to choose what protects your peace, even when others don't understand. That's not rejection, that's remembering. Key 4. Your intuition becomes stronger than other people's opinions. There was a time when you needed to ask, do you think I'm doing the right thing? Does this make sense to you? You searched outside yourself for clarity and found only noise. You second-guessed your every move, trusted others more than your own inner voice, made decisions based on approval, not alignment. But then you chose yourself, and something shifted. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious, when integrated, becomes a guiding force, a silent compass pointing us toward the self. That compass is your intuition, and when you stop outsourcing your truth, you start hearing it again. It doesn't shout, it whispers, and the more you listen, the louder it becomes. You begin to feel when something is right, even if no one else understands it. You begin to sense when something is off, even when it looks perfect on the surface. Others may question your path. They may offer advice that doesn't resonate. They may not understand why you're walking away from what they think you should want. But it won't matter like it used to, because you'll feel a deeper clarity, not in your mind but in your body, in your chest, in your knowing. You're no longer guided by fear, you're guided by frequency. And now when someone's opinion clashes with your intuition, you know exactly which one to trust, because the voice inside you has finally become louder than the world outside. Key 5. You realize you don't need to be understood to be at peace. You used to explain yourself endlessly, why you made that choice, why you set that boundary, why you changed. You wanted people to get it, to see your heart, to know you meant well. But no matter how carefully you tried, some still misunderstood. They twisted your truth, labeled your growth as distance, confused your healing for selfishness, and it hurt. Carl Jung said that individuation, the journey to the self, is not about being understood, but about becoming whole. You finally see that peace isn't found in being accepted. It's found in no longer needing to be. You stop explaining your intuition to people committed to misunderstanding it. You stop offering your soul to be dissected by minds not ready to hold it. You become okay with being misread. You find peace in being silent. You let your energy speak, even when your words fall short. And something shifts. The weight lifts. The pressure to perform dissolves. You begin to rest in your own clarity. You're no longer living for applause. You're living in alignment. Being understood was a comfort. Now, truth is your peace, because your journey isn't up for debate. It's sacred, it's yours, and it doesn't require translation. Key 6. You become uncomfortable for those who live in pretending. You start noticing the tension. Your presence softens, some but unsettles others. They shift in their seat. Their smile feels forced. Their words grow sharp, defensive. Even when you've said nothing wrong, you're not confronting them. You're not criticizing. But something in you makes it harder for them to keep pretending. Carl Jung taught that the more integrated we become, the more we reflect back to others what they've disowned in themselves. The light you carry now, it touches the shadows they've buried. You don't expose them with your words. You expose them with your being because you've chosen yourself. You no longer play the game, no longer wear the mask, no longer shrink to make others comfortable, and that is threatening, not to their soul, but to the identity they've built around hiding. They may say you're different, colder, difficult, but what they really mean is, I can't pretend around you anymore, and they're right. Your authenticity becomes a mirror. Your boundaries a disruption, your energy a quiet revolution. You're not here to perform, you're here to be real, and anyone who depends on the illusion will either evolve or move away. That's not your loss. It's your alignment, because truth is magnetic, but it's also polarizing. And now, your very presence only allows what's real to remain. Key 7. You start attracting those who have also chosen themselves. It happens slowly. A new conversation, a quiet connection, a soul that sees you, not the version of you that performs, but the one that is. You realize something beautiful. You no longer have to chase. You no longer need to impress. You no longer feel the need to earn your place because something has changed. You've changed. Carl Jung believed that when we integrate our shadow and align with the self, we begin to attract people who are doing the same. They're not perfect. They've bled. They've walked through their own inner storms, but they've also stopped hiding, and when they meet you, they recognize something familiar, not in your words, but in your frequency. These new connections feel different. Less noise, more depth. No masks, just presence. You laugh without performance. You sit in silence without fear. You speak from your truth, not your wound. And they stay. Not because you're always light, but because you're real, and they are too. You stop searching for your tribe because the moment you choose yourself, you become magnetically visible to those who have done the same. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You just have to be authentic, and now finally, you are closing. Choosing yourself is the first act of real love. You thought choosing yourself would feel selfish. You thought it would make you cold. You feared it would leave you alone. But now, you see, choosing yourself wasn't the end of connection. It was the beginning of truth. It wasn't a closing, it was a quiet, sacred opening. Carl Jung wrote that the path toward wholeness is not paved with perfection, but with integration, with honesty, with the soft rebellion of saying, I will no longer abandon who I am. And once you do that, everything changes. Not immediately, not loudly, but deeply. You feel stronger. Not because you fight harder, but because you finally stop fighting yourself. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop explaining your worth. You stop begging to be seen by people who were never looking, and from that space, you begin to love not from emptiness, but from overflow. Because choosing yourself is the first real act of love, the kind that doesn't demand or manipulate or chase, the kind that simply is. So if this message touched something inside you, write in the comments, "Today I choose myself and I remain whole." Let it be your anchor. Let it be your reminder that no matter who walks away, no matter how long the silence lasts, no matter how unfamiliar this new version of you feels, you are not lost, you are home.